Thank you. Assemblymember Gallagher, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, members. This is a very difficult issue, I think. And I think the reason why it's a difficult issue is because it goes to the very center of people's identity and who they are and who they believe they are. And so I very much heard my colleague, actually, I was in committee when the bill was up, and definitely heard from him the hurt and, the ostracization that many in the LGBT community have felt because of many different things that have happened, and especially as being a young person and struggling with issues of identity. And so I very much hear that, and I see, and I know that that's the motivation behind your bill. But I think the thing that I would ask the author to consider, as he's moving forward with his bill, is considering the very genuine and I think legitimate experience of people who testified in that committee, that this was something that helped them and that worked for them. And I believe these people were hearing that testimony, it was very powerful as well. And that freedom, if it means something, it means the ability to be free to be who you are. And I think it must also mean freedom to be who you want to be. And I think for those individuals, who have testified and have come forward as this bill has moved forward, they would probably tell you that this is who they are. And I think we have to consider that experience. It might be different from other people's experience, right? Where it's been very hurtful, it's been something that's been damaging. But for those people, I think we have to consider that living in a free society is the freedom for people to do things that maybe we think are not the best, maybe that we think are hurtful or damaging. So I think that's something we have to think about, the legitimate experience of people who have gone through conversion therapy and have said that this was a good thing for them. The other thing I think we have to consider is potentially the implication for the faith community. And I think maybe this bears a little bit of explanation, is Christians do believe in spiritual transformation. Christians believe that we are all sinners. We all equally fall short of the glory of God. But because of what Christ did on the cross, we've been given a new heart, and we've been given a spirit that transforms us. And so Christians believe that across the board, and they practice that in their faith. Not everybody practices that faith. Nobody's saying that anybody is going to be forced to practice that faith. But they legitimately practice that faith, and there are books, there are conferences, there are areas where there could be a transaction involved, but are legitimate practices of a faith. And let me just say this, we talk about sin. I believe homophobia is a sin. I believe ostracizing a group and maligning a group and slandering a group is a sin. And so look, as Christians practicing, we are in a struggle against sin. And we believe that is our personally held belief, that God can change us. God, I hope He can change us. I hope He can change us.
Assemblymember, I'm going to ask you to please keep your comment to the merits of the bill.
Okay. I'm a work in progress myself. And so let me just say that, I think we should think about the implications, that these could be much broader and go into, the language of the bill. I'd like to work on certainly tightening that to make sure it doesn't infringe upon legitimate practices of our faith. And not just Christian faith, but Muslims, people of many different faiths have beliefs that we in this body may not share, a majority in this body may not share, but do we want to start down a path? I know I have a colleague who says I hate slippery slope arguments, but there's a reason why we've coined the phrase slippery slope arguments, because once you start down a path, other things could come up, where people say, isn't this the same justification? We have to be wary of that. And so I would just ask that we would consider the legitimate experiences of people, Californians,
Assemblymember, 10 more seconds, please.
and potentially the implications to freedom of religion. And I appreciate the author. I want to continue to have discussions with you. And, thank you for listening to that. And I would just ask for that going forward.